Hello, my name's John. This is something different, and you're listening to Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello, and welcome to something slightly different for the channel. Today, I want to share a theory with you that is changing the way I see Warhammer 40,000, and it might even do the same for you. What if I told you that Warhammer 40k isn't just a single evolving universe, that instead every edition, every retcon, and every shift in lore is actually evidence of something much bigger? What if Warhammer 40k is actually a multiverse of parallel universes? Now, I have to admit, I'm a bit bored of the whole multiverse thing. It's everywhere at the moment, but hear me out. This isn't just another sci-fi trope. The deeper you look into Warhammer 40k's history, the more this idea makes too much sense to ignore. If you've been in the Warhammer hobby for a while, you've probably noticed something strange. Games Workshop keeps rewriting history. But what if I told you this isn't just random? What if there's a deeper pattern behind it? Factions disappear and reappear, characters' backstories shift, entire events get rewritten, and some things that were once canon are nothing more than distant myths. Remember when squats were wiped out of existence? Well, they came back in 9th edition as the Leagues of Votan, and in Necromunda as squats again. The Horus Heresy used to be a straightforward civil war, but now it's filled with shifting narratives, deeper chaos influences, and conflicting accounts. Even the Emperor's vision of the future has been described in different ways. Sometimes he sees one outcome, sometimes many possible futures. These aren't just simple retcons or mistakes. No. What if each edition of Warhammer 40k is its own universe? So if every edition is its own reality, what does this actually look like? Let's go back to the beginning and break it down. Each edition of Warhammer 40k fundamentally changes the universe, not just in terms of rules, but in terms of tone, lore, and sometimes even physics. First edition, Rogue Trader, felt like a crazy sci-fi RPG with mercenary space marines and a more open-ended universe. Second edition was more structured, but still wild, with over-the-top factions and a heroic Imperium. Third edition brought more of a militarized, grimdark Imperium, changing how the universe functioned. 4th to 7th editions refined the lore but kept it relatively stable until things took a massive turn in 8th edition. 8th edition literally split the galaxy in half with the Great Rift, making the universe feel like a soft reboot. 9th edition and beyond, Guilliman is back, Necrons have risen, Tyranids are everywhere, and the Imperium is in a completely different state compared to previous editions. If you think about it this way, every new edition doesn't just advance the timeline, it shifts reality itself. Each one is a parallel universe, loosely connected to the ones before it, but still separate in key ways. Now, let's talk about some of the in-game evidence that actually supports this idea. First, we've got the Cicatrix Maledictum, or the Great Rift, a literal rip in reality that divides the galaxy. Some say it's just a story device, but what if it's Games Workshop's way of metaphorically acknowledging the universe splitting into parallel versions? Then there's the Emperor's visions of the future. Many theories suggest he sees multiple possible outcomes of reality, which could mean that he, and maybe even Chaos, are aware of these branching universes. And let's not forget the game mechanics themselves. Every edition changes the rules, sometimes dramatically, the way weapons work, how armies are structured, even how battles are fought. These aren't just balance changes. What if they're actually different universes with their own rules of physics and warfare? Now, let's take the idea a step further. What about other Warhammer 40k games? Spin-offs like Necromunda, Battlefleet Gothic, Kill Team, Horus Heresy, and Epic. They all have their own distinct lore sometimes contradictory to the main 40k setting. Instead of struggling to fit them into one timeline, what if they're just their own parallel universes tied to different 40k editions? The 1990s version of Necromunda fits into the 2nd edition universe. Its tone, factions, and style match the era. Modern day Necromunda, which has been around since 2017, is completely different and aligns more to 8th and 9th edition versions of the Imperium. Battlefleet Gothic. It was built during 3rd edition, but now it feels like an isolated timeline. The Forge World books of the Horus Heresy rewrote a lot of the early lore, making it feel like its own take on the same historical events. These games don't need to be forced into a single timeline. They all fit perfectly into the 40k universe. Alright, now here's a real kicker. If we accept that Warhammer 40k is a multiverse of parallel universes, that means every single player, gaming group, and homebrew setting is its own unique reality. Think about it. Every time you make house rules, you create your own alternative version of 40k. If you invent your own Space Marine chapter, you're adding a new universe to the multiverse. Every time a narrative campaign plays out differently from official lore, you've split off into your own timeline. So what does this mean? It means that your Warhammer 40k is just as valid as Games Workshop's. It's your hobby. It's your universe. So, what do you think? Does this theory explain 40k's shifting lore? Does Games Workshop's constant rewriting actually make sense in this framework? And does this theory make Warhammer even more exciting because it means that every version of the game is canon somewhere? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments, and if you want more deep dives like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Knowing that you want to watch my videos and listen to things like this makes me want to make more of them. But until next time, my name's John, and you've been listening to War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.